Hey everybody, welcome back to the couch. My name is Melissa and this is Couch Mom Club. I post videos about pregnancy, motherhood, and life itself. So if that gets you excited, go ahead and join the club. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you never miss an upload, okay guys? Let's get right into the video. Alright, so today I'm going to be telling you a little something about the books that I've been reading. This is an exciting topic for me, but let me just come clean with you, just real quick. Confession time. I started the year with the goal of reading one book a month for the year of 2021. And I wasn't off to a good start. I mean, I did my best, but it took me a long time to finish my January read. But since then, I've picked up my momentum and I am back on track. So I've been reading a lot of books and I'm going to share 3 of the books that I've read so that you can have an idea of the things that I'm reading. And if you're inspired by that list, go out and get a copy for yourself and read them. So reading to me is super important. I encourage reading, but the problem that I have is I don't like the physical act of reading. I find reading sometimes to be uncomfortable. Like even if I'm on the couch or if I'm, snuggled up in bed or if I have like a desk or whatever it is, I find that I can never quite get comfortable. But I've pushed through that and I've been able to read a couple of books. However, what I found that helped is audiobooks. Audiobooks are amazing. My trouble is that although the audiobook I can get into and feel more comfortable, I like to have the hard copy. I just love to have a book in my hand. There's something special about an actual physical copy of a book that no matter how many audiobooks you can digest in a short period of time, nothing compares to having the actual book with you. So I've always hoped that my kids would be avid readers and that they would grow to love books. So far, we're doing all right. They do pick up books, we read them, and they interact, and they seem to love it. But I hope that carries through when they grow up, that they will always love books. I didn't really love books. I mean, growing up, I was playing sports, I was running around doing things like that. But since growing up, I realized the importance of reading and digesting information that others have to offer and others have put in text form. I am all for reading. I encourage reading. I encourage you to start reading if you're not reading already. I encourage you to continue reading if you already are reading. And of course, right now, if you have a book that you want to recommend, go ahead and put some comments down below. I would love to hear about what you're reading and get some ideas for my next read. So if you have a book that you're reading and you think that it's awesome and you would like to give me some tips on what I should read next, go ahead and put some comments down below. So guys, I am just very proud of myself, I must say, because I promised myself that after university, I was never gonna read anything. And I mean, no books, no articles, no menus. Like even if I went to a restaurant, I was like, listen, this menu better have pictures because I don't want to read anything. I read so much in those 4.5 years that I studied and I just felt like, I'm just done. But reading is super important. So I've jumped back on the bandwagon and I'm going to start with this first book that I've read. It's called Hold On, But Don't Hold Still. And the author is Christina Kuzmic. You might have heard of her. She is pretty Instagram famous. She has her social media platform that is just completely popping, and she is an amazing author, turns out. Like, I read this book and I feel like I know her a little bit. Her personality comes through, her authenticity comes through. I feel like I'm sitting down and I'm talking to Christina when I read this book. So it is an excellent read. Very easy to digest and super relatable. She has different businesses that she does, and she is predominantly known for being a cook and a mother of 3 beautiful kids. So in this book, she talks about her experience of being at rock bottom, finding herself in a position where she was a new divorced woman with 2 small children and having no money, no resources, and just being at the lowest of lows. And she basically says that she found her best self and became her best self when she gave from what she really didn't have. So she had little to nothing and decided to give from what she had, and she found that even giving from the little that she had meant such a big deal, and it created such a big boom in the world that it catapulted her to being the person that she is today. So the way she explains motherhood and her ability to put what is beautiful about motherhood and what is not so beautiful and just mash that together is so real and so well done. So I'm going to read this, and I hope that you guys will enjoy this little snippet and then go out and purchase this book. This is chapter 16, Raw Kale and Sprinkled Donuts. I broke down in public recently. I was in a packed restaurant sitting across from my mother-in-law, who had accompanied me for a check-in about how one of her grandchildren was doing. At the moment, she was waiting, beaming warmth and compassion my way, as I mustered the strength to utter just one cohesive sentence about our situation. And then I completely lost it. I cried into my spinach dip and a plate of potato skins, because parenting can break us. Motherhood is the most heart-filling part of my life, and it is also, at times, the most heartbreaking. Recently, I've been really struggling watching one of my children struggle. I've been trying every trick I know, rushing to learn the skills I need but don't yet have, shoving aside the temptation to slide into naive bliss, exhausting myself trying to fix what I can, and holding myself back from doing too much. Yet at the end of every day, I am left feeling like all of my effort was useless. This is an excruciating place to be. So she's just explaining a situation with one of her children, and she talks about how she is in this battle to try to figure out what to do, slipping into this place of, I don't even want to do anything. And then it's just one of those moments that she writes about where you can actually see yourself in that position. I know that I have been there many times with my children, just having this back and forth battle in my head, like, what do I do? Now, I've never really broke down in a public restaurant, but I'm sure that I've bawled, and I mean ugly bawled, like cried outside somewhere. I recommend this book. I just think it's an amazing read. Again, she's very relatable. She's also on Instagram killing it. Like, she's doing an amazing job in her role as a mother, in her role as a social media mogul, and she is relatable to me because that's exactly the path that I'm on. I am working my social media atmosphere and trying my best to raise some children in the best ways that I know how. So this is a great book for you moms out there. I would recommend it. And if you're not a mom, I'd still recommend it because it's a good read. The next book that I read is called More Than Enough by Elaine Welteroth, and I think that this book is amazing. I don't even remember what drew me to read this book, but when I picked it up, what I thought that I was gonna get from it is not actually what I got from it. So this book caused me to think about the future a lot, but not necessarily my future, but the future of my daughter. So the author Elaine is a mixed race female who was raised by a black woman, her mother, and a white man, her father. And in the book, she just talks about her experience in childhood, growing up, being raised by these two people, and just her ideas and her image and notions about her individuality and who she was as a mixed race woman. One of the things that she explained beautifully is the fact that she was not white enough for white people and not black enough for black people. And oftentimes she found herself in positions where she felt like she needed a ticket or a seat at the black table. And I just found it interesting because being that my daughter is biracial, she's in a situation where she is being raised by a black woman and a white man, and I just wondered how many of these conversations will she have as she grows up. And I loved it because she talks about her situation, her experience, but she also includes the perspective of her mother and her father in this book. So you get to kind of see where the parents were. So I found myself kind of identifying most with the mom, of course, and seeing my husband in the father, and seeing how we would kind of navigate through conversations with our children about race and identity. The book is about her story, how she came up and became the person that she is today, and how she found success. And although she doesn't say that this book is a roadmap to success or it doesn't provide tips, it's just literally her telling her story. There are so many helpful nuggets in this book on how to achieve the desired success that we are all seeking for. So I do want to read to you a part where she explains her perspective on representation and how she realized how important representation was at a very, very young age. So it's in chapter 2. It's called White Paper Family. The first time I realized that race was a thing, I was staring at a pile of magazines in preschool, surrounded by a sea of pudgy white faces. We were all huddled together for our first official school assignment. The only brown kids there were me and Juan, the sweet Mexican kid who taught me to tie my shoelaces. The teacher was instructing us to make collages that represented our families. All we had to do was dive into the large stack of magazines on the table, cut out pictures of people who resembled our families, and paste them onto a sheet of paper. Easy enough. I have always loved the collaging moment, even way back then. As I flipped through the pages, I saw smiling white ladies in pristine kitchens, cute white babies wearing pull-ups, handsome white men in tailored suits, white kids picnicking on Crayola green grass. I had never heard anyone use the term representation before. All I knew was no one on any of those magazine pages looked like me or my family. It reinforced what I had somehow already internalized. I was different, other, an oddity living in a white world. So the breakdown of her experience as a mixed race child, growing up in a family where her mom was black, her dad was white, it kind of hit home for me, and it made me reflect on the different conversations that we will be potentially having with our daughter and our son. One of the things that the mom says in the book was that in the context of her being a black woman and her husband being a white man, neither one of them was a black man or could inform her son on how to be a black man in America, which I thought was an interesting concept. Like, you always think of what you are to your children, like what you can provide, what you can do for them, but you never really think of what you're not. So sometimes you're never really conscious or make real intentional decisions to give them what they're missing. So this book caused me to think, and I just really love it, and I think it's a great read, especially for those of you who are looking to make it in the public sector and to boss up on the workforce. You guys are going to love this book. So that's More Than Enough by Elaine Welteroth. The next book that I read was this one, The Happiest Toddler on the Block by Harvey Karp. And guys, I laugh because I don't really have to explain why I'm reading this. I have 2 toddlers, okay? So we're gonna meet Teo and we're gonna meet Noel. And you'll see why I need to figure out how to get the happiest toddler on the block, because we're working through some things in terms of tantrums and meltdowns and all the fun stuff of raising toddlers. Moms who have been there before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I will not go into too many details about what I've learned from this book, because we have something really, really exciting coming up where I'm going to be talking to you about my experience with navigating the temper tantrums and navigating the different feelings and emotions that my toddler has expressed. Something is coming, guys, and I think you guys are going to love it. So if you want to see that, and I know that you do, because I know it's going to help a whole lot of you moms with your toddlers and the different feelings that they're having, the really, really big feelings that they're having, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, guys. Join the club. That little red button, hit that red button. It says subscribe, and ring that bell so that you do not miss that upload, okay? So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this book. I didn't buy into everything that he said. There are some things that I was just like, I would never talk to my kid like that. And I just thought, you know, sometimes it seemed like he was doing the baby talk thing. And if you've seen my other video about what I don't do as a parent, then you'll know that I do not do the baby talk at all. But there is a fast food rule that he talks about in this book that I really, really love. And it basically just describes that, you know, the way that you deal with your child is the same concept of how fast food restaurant employees deal with the public. So you're gonna listen to the order, listen intently so you don't get anything wrong. You're gonna repeat the order back to the customer, and then you're gonna do your best to fulfill the order, or if of course you can't, offer them an alternative. So that's what we hope will happen in a fast food restaurant. If you've been to McDonald's with me in a vlog, you know that sometimes that's just not the case. But what he says is pretty cool, and I'm gonna read it to you. Emotions are great. They make us healthy. Did you know that emotions make us healthy? In fact, the way in which you react to your child's expression of emotion will contribute greatly to his health and happiness for the rest of his life. That's why the fast food rule is so important. However, there's a huge and important difference between emotions and actions. While many actions are unacceptable, most feelings are legitimate and should be promptly acknowledged. Of course, you will often have to stop your toddler's unacceptable actions like fighting, rude words, etc. But when his strong feelings like anger, fear, or frustration are ignored or squelched, they don't just disappear. They continue to simmer under the surface, sometimes for an entire lifetime. I thought that was interesting because I grew up in a household where it was like, we are cry for. And if you started crying, you want me to give you something for cry for? So it was like, you couldn't really cry or be upset in the view of your parents. Like it was just a frowned upon experience. Like you don't want to show them anything except complete happiness and complete satisfaction with their parenting style and everything that they have been giving you and affording you. Every dinner you have to smile. Every toy you get you have to be happy and appreciative of. Every scolding you have to take it with, valor, and you have to smile through it. And it's just like, how unrealistic was that? Now, I'm not knocking my mom or anybody that has been brought up in settings like that. It's just that when you see a lot of that kind of parenting where you kind of just squelch the real true feelings of your kid, you think that you're doing them a favor. Like you must learn to be grateful. You must learn to appreciate. Mommy and daddy are trying their best and they're doing everything that they can to provide for you X, Y, and Z. The lesson is good, I guess. You want to teach them how to be appreciative, but what you're doing is you're ignoring their true feelings, and that can cause big issues for them growing up. Anyways, I am going to go too far into this because I'm like right there. I'm right there in the thick of things, just working through some big feelings that my son is expressing. Well, you've seen the birthday thing, right? You've seen it. He just bawled when we sang happy birthday to him. Some people will look at that and think it's bizarre, whereas I'm looking at it and I'm like, what does this teach me about my son? Who is this boy? It is interesting, and I love to read information and to take as much in as I can because I believe that it is really helpful. So I'm just going to really quickly answer a question that I know a lot of you are probably asking, that parenting book question, right? Do you read the parenting books? What do you think about them? Listen, I don't think that any parenting book holds all of the knowledge or any parenting book is entirely Bible truth. I believe that there are good things that have been written. Like this one, for example, there are a lot of things in it that I'm just like, nope. But as the saying goes, you take the meat and you throw out the bones. Whatever is for you, you take. Whatever is not for you, you leave it. For me, as far as parenting books go, I do read them. I try to use a combination of book smarts, My Village, Common Sense, My Mistakes, Holy Spirit to raise my children. But there is no one book or a series of books or any body of writing that I just ascribe to and just swear by. I think that you should get the information and do with it what you wish. Okay, guys, so that's how I'm going to answer that question. Do I read parenting books? Yes, I do. Do I think that they're holy and can never be challenged? No. But I will encourage you to read as many books as possible. I mean, it won't hurt to have the knowledge, whether you use it or not, right? So before I go any further, guys, I am going to put every single book in the description down below so that if you want to check them out, which I recommend that you do, that you go ahead and you find it easily in the description, okay, guys? So that I'm gonna do just for you. All right, guys, that's it. So until next time, here's some really cool Couch Mom Club videos for you to enjoy. And don't forget to go ahead and join the club, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell so that you know when I post new videos. Follow me on all your favorite social media platforms, and don't forget to check out the merchandise. Everything will be in the link in the description below. Now it is time to get off the couch and into life.